Kabuchibe ofri henara. Woma yembo henbraye. Yada radasi. This morning we record with nostalgia the lives of some of our old boys. And speaker after speaker reiterated the benefits that we have gathered on this hill. We started on Thursday recounting the history and traditions. We continued on Friday. And this morning, it took another dimension. We are focused on things that have been passed. This evening, we seek to energize our conscience. We seek to provoke our abilities and potentials to aspire higher than what perhaps we have envisaged. And so we have lined up some speakers who will tell us a bit about how they started and the path they have taken. And we believe we will be able to inspire ourselves. We start with an opening prayer from myself. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for this evening. We have gathered unto your name, and we call upon your Holy Spirit to direct us. Take absolute control. When all is said and done, we shall be careful to give you the glory. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. We have two opening remarks. One delegated by the headmaster to be given by the ASEAN Master Administration, Mr. Arthur, a product of Bamakwa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hope. Yeah, once you said about it, it's definitely the premier school and the premier dormitory, so you should understand. This evening, we have time with MOBA Career Counseling. That is the program for us. We are so happy and have the opportunity to interact with our seniors, definitely MOBA 95, to tell us the career path. Some of you, I know, even though you are informed to, you are doing science, some are doing technical arts, you are still grappling, you want to even change your class. But don't worry, you have seasoned and experienced personality here to share insights of how they started here and where they are now, and to give you the rare opportunity to give you confidence, self-awareness, and informed decision, and probably to have reset your mind as the way forward to know where you are going. So don't worry, this evening is a clear opportunity for us to have an interaction with our seniors so that we can make a real plan and reset our goal where we want to arrive. So I will not speak so much at this moment. So we are fortunate and have opportunity to interact. Feel free and get all your questions set, your opinions so far after the experiences and insights shared by our seniors, and you reset. Thank you very much for this opportunity.
Jane Shekan. Before that, Ebusha Penyin's brief remarks. Let's invite him.
Hello, good evening. The headmaster, the very Reverend Ebenezer Edu, with your able assistant headmasters, Arthur and Hope, the SYG year groups, 1995s, we're going to do a fantastic job for this year's speech day with the 85s and the 75s. The MOBA Vice President, National Executive Committee, MOBA Council, students of Mfantsipim, all protocols observed. There's a new path in Mfantsipim, and with this administration, we have a new way. We recognize that being on this hill and getting the education that you will get, and looking at the role models that have gone beyond you, The probability is that you're going to be very great men in future. That's the probability. As to the extent to which you're going to be great, some of it depends on you. And the most important aspect for education, as far as I'm concerned, is the mentorship and apprenticeship stage. Because at this age, you are, as we were, very confused as to what you're going to do in future and how you are going to apply your natural abilities and what you've learned. But hopefully, with the successful guidance and mentorship of old boys, and with the new programs that we want to do with apprenticeship, so that some of you can get some work experience, internships, and training with old boys, hopefully you should discover your inner passion and discover the natural abilities that you can scale on a global level in order to be relevant not just locally or even African-wide, but internationally. When I was your age here, I was confused. I only knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur one day because my father was an entrepreneur. And I was quite interested in business. At an early age, he applied me to skills and situations that led me later rudimentary steps in business. At that point, I thought he was wasting my time. Things like stock taking, going to construction sites, working with laborers, working with masons, learning how carpenters work, learning how to write receipts, invoices, things like that. I thought it was a waste of time. It was actually some of the most boring days I spent that my father let me endure. But as I went through life, those skills I discovered were helpful in terms of building the foundations of my understanding of how the business world works. So my natural passions with that foundation and the schooling I got here has helped me to discover my path and my true bearing. I'm not the one to give the career talk, but I'll give you a limited peek into what I did. I was in this school. I was trained early on by my mother to be quite a passionate reader. And so by the time I was 12, 13, 14, I think by 15, I could read about 1,000 pages a day, right? 1,000 pages a day of all kinds of things that I was interested in. And that gave me some level of focus and concentration and comprehension, which means that I could understand complex subjects quite easily. My maths was also not quite bad, thanks to my elementary school teacher, Mr. Konadu, whose son is my mate and is here. My basic maths was very good. And so, even though I wasn't quite serious in Mfantsipim, my foundation was strong in terms of reading and quantitative skills. And I also loved the arts, history, poetry, and literature. I was naturally good at that. And I also liked the sciences. Luckily, in Mfantsipim, at that time, you could do a pure arts and a pure science class. So I was in what you called 4S. The 4S people were supposed to be shabby. These were students that were talented but were lazy. So their practice of mathematics was not that constant. But they still managed to score high in science. And sometimes not as high as in maths. So they were put in a class called 4S. So I did pure science and then pure arts, mixed, and I did equally well in both subjects and came to the sixth form. In sixth form, I read arts, so if you're in 4S, you could go to the science part of it or the arts. So I could have been a doctor, but I chose to read arts. Well, for the simple reason that it was easier. You just had to read. For me, reading history, literature, and poetry was quite easy. It's about reading and analyzing and then answering questions. Once I figured out all history questions and all arts questions were whether for you to confirm that somebody was a great leader or to discuss the subject or to say whether you agreed or not to agree. For me, I'd already passed the exam because the rest I could read. The rest was arguments. So naturally, I decided to be a lawyer, not because I wanted to practice, but because I realized that lawyers didn't have to work 9 to 5. And with law, you just had to read, So it was going to be easy for me. Luckily, I got into Ghana Law Faculty. I said some of it this morning. I passed the first university exam, and so I got an LLB. As a first degree, I went to the law school. I passed as a barrister. I got a BL. But I didn't practice. In my first year, I started a business with $100. And in the computer revolution, I went into a segment of the business that focused on how to present documents after they had been produced by printers, like laser printers and inkjet printers. And then I went into identity. Since I'm not giving a career talk, the rest they say is history. Today, I'm the chief executive and chairman of a company called the Margins Group, which runs in 8 countries and has about 8 subsidiaries in these countries, employing over 600 to 700 people. So I'm doing something that I'm very passionate about. That has something to do with the story I've told you, but that's nothing to do with the qualification that I got as a barrister directly. But indeed, law is a great degree for business because everything about business is law. Companies are actually artificial people. That means they're only brought into being by law. So in order to understand how a company works, it helps if you're a good lawyer. Everything that happens in business, it's a subject of a contract or an agreement. And the basis of contract is law. Now, law and medicine are the only 2 subjects that you have to be taught because you can't read it by yourself. If you read law, you can read as many law books as you want, but you have to be taught law in order to understand it. I dare say that every other subject you can read. Today, you are blessed to be in the digital age, where with a click of a button, the vast stores of information that are held globally are at your fingertips. So I often say that today, a child in Wa, a child in Tamale, a child in Silicon Valley, a child in Copenhagen have the same advantages. All they need to do is to be able to find where the information is. They have to be able to read and comprehend it in a language that they understand, to analyze it and to implement it. What a lucky age you are in the 4th Industrial Revolution. And as artificial intelligence dominates all aspects of our life, not only is the 4th Industrial Revolution changing, it's also mutating into what I call the 5th Industrial Revolution, because AI is going to change everything. Large language models and algorithms, machine learning, is going to replace the human knowledge by a quantum leap. So as quantum computers are developed, and as information is now gathered at speed, and now you can actually have a speech interface that will give you all the answers to all the questions that you ever wanted to ask. And as machines talk to each other and then cross-learn across platforms, because machine language is just machine language. So it doesn't matter whether it's biology, it's design, or it's whatever. They can understand across all board. I say AI is introducing the new digital god where there is a unification of knowledge. And that unification of knowledge has some very terrifying results. Those terrifying results you can harness. Today, Africa has the same opportunities that every other continent has, or every other race. We just have to be sure that in this digital age and this artificial intelligence age, we do not just become consumers of technology, but that some of you will design the technology that enhances AI. You will own that technology that teaches us how the future is going to look like before the future arrives. It's a whole new world that's being constructed. I pray that after this career talk, you will realize the potential that you have in your head. Because in this new age, the potential is the power of our brain. If you look at the demographic dividend that we have, what we call demographic dividend, meaning that we have a majority of our population which is young. It is the fertile minds that you have that we're going to plant these seeds, that is going to create a nuclear energy in your brain, which is what is needed for today's age. I wish you well. I hope you've been inspired in this career talk. And I know that in this age, the sky indeed is not your limit. Thank you very much.
Shall we be upstanding? Thank you very much. Please take your seats. We are about to listen to our speakers, and I'm not going to do any lengthy introduction, except to say that the first speaker was in Bama Kwaluadom, Reverend William Jacobus Vanderpuije, Esquire.
If I'm permitted to say, praise the Lord. Good evening to you all. I'd like to salute our distinguished and August guests. I salute the Ebusiapinin of the house. Let's give it on to him and all the NEC executives. Oh, come on, come on. And then able headmaster and the assistant and all the staff with my fellow MOBA 95 and other MOBA executives and wonderful MOBA old boys. and our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, our fellow students, and wonderful ones seated, I bring you greetings. Yes, this evening I have the honor as the first to go about counseling, the career counseling. I was then in Bamakwa Lower Dome as a science student. I came into this school by the mercies of God through a very stringent measure during the exams time, the BEC, the third batch, of course. We entered with high hopes, coming from a background that wasn't so good in terms of a public school, but we still made it. When we came, our names were on the notice board, and my name was Pat. Thankfully, that time we had the general science wasn't that general because you will have to be doing all the core subjects. Then also you would have to choose between biology and mathematics. So you have to be doing chemistry, physics, and either maths or biology. And I chose the biology option. My high hopes were that I wanted to become a medical doctor. But then, after years, I see myself being a lawyer, and I salute my senior. Hello? How did it come? One of them that I could have in mind was that where I lived and my parents' home and uncles and aunties, most of them were doctors. My sister being one of them, a cousin who lived with us, I had also wanted to follow suit. And when I came in, that was what inspired me earlier on, that, oh, doctors, you go to Konadu, you see them, and then probably everything is fine. But along the path, I wrote the entrance exams. Thankfully, I gained admission, and I went to first you have to do a general course before you'll be going into the medical field. Then one of them, right in Konadu, I went to the surgical ward with them, and I couldn't stand a human being suspended, turned and suspended, because I couldn't. And plain language, I went black, or I fainted. I was revived, came back. Another time, we went there. This time, I'm not scaring, but this time not to the surgical ward, but when someone passes on is called home, where they keep the person before, and I couldn't stand. So what happened? I realized that, no, I still wanted to be a professional. So there I said to myself, what are the means that could come my way to be able to push from whatever I needed to? Initially, as Abusia Penny said, I went into the computer field. I was there. I loved it. But I realized that the passion and the interest, they were there, but that was not something that I yearned to do. Then again, after that, I had to just withdraw from the university. And then I had to also go into a different field. I wanted to be in banking. And then I started a banking. Thankfully, I was able to finish the administration. After that, I realized that still I had to push. Then, at one point in time, I met the Professor Ejipon, Cape Coast, and thankfully, and then Reverend Professor Kudaji, being a Methodist professor. My mom was then the women's president of the circuit around Pokwase Amasaman area. So they called and then they wanted to know how come and how best. So I was advised that there are other ways to go about it if I still want to be. Quickly, I had opportunity to join University of London to read law, but I wanted to practice in Ghana. So again, when I came to check, I was told that they have to get kind of courses to be able to. And looking at the amount of pounds you have to pay before you join Ghana School of Law, when you have the LLB or you are called outside. I couldn't afford 6,000 pounds as at then. So I had to then stop the course and come and start from Gimpa. And thankfully, we were able to make it there. Then I wrote the entrance exams. We were the first that is said they were given a cutoff point. So you have to write 1 year program at the Ghana School of Law. You heard about the demonstrations and others. And then the 64, that came out. Thankfully, the Lord was gracious. So it had never been a straight path. It had never been a straight path. But in all of them, there was something that ran through. And I thank the Lord for that. The good book says that in all things, and I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Is that it? So it means that whatever you intend doing, there should be something that is there. Perseverance. It shouldn't come from a brother or a sister what they do, but it should come from the passion and the interest. And in a career guidance, and it should be that you explore the opportunities that are available and be informed and make decisions about it, because that will be your future. And being a skilled person, you have to make sure that you are trained and you have adequate knowledge. From this very moment, you have to get what you need, the adequate knowledge that you have to get from this school. And I think most of us during these career sessions and day in and day out, you've been told that you have to make sure that you focus on your learning. Your parents have mentioned it. But you ask yourself, irrespective of what friends could push you to do, family members could push you to do, what is it that it's inborn? What do you have the flair for, the interests? Again, the good book would tell you that is any man diligent in his work, he will stand before kings and queens. That will make way for him. And it's my prayer that even as you are being guided, you will not be guided by your emotions, because they are always there. And you will not be guided by circumstances, but you'll be guided by what you really want to do. For the Form 3s who will be leaving the walls of Kwabuche very soon, it is my prayer that whatever you so desire to do, you'll be able to see the future from now. And the direction that you want to go from now, you should be able to. Thankfully, our law firm was a law firm that did the Achimota guy, Tyrone Magai, the case. We did our case for him. And it really opened mighty door for us. At one point in time, some of our colleagues, or one of our colleagues also had situations. We had to move in as lawyers to stand in for him because of the passion. And I thank God for the blessed memory of Mr. B.K. Donchi, the former headmaster, who once taught me something on this school, and I'll never forget. He told me at one point, just right in front of Bamakwa, we were just there, and one of us was coming from town or was going to town, and he was asked by the headmaster, "Where are you coming from?" He said he didn't know what to say, but I was just there. Then he said, "Were you with him? Are you with him?" I said, "No." Then he said, all of us were marched to the headmaster's office. Then he said, "You are warned never to go to town." I said, I was quiet because I was a bit timid then. I was quiet and I didn't know the talking were coming. So at a point, all that I realized was that we were marched and I couldn't say anything. And then a letter was given us to go and bring our parents. So I went and came back and said, so when we're narrating what really happened, when my parents were there, I get a kind of confidence. So when the then headmaster heard about what happened, he said, "Oh, then you should have been able to defend yourself." And upon that, I learned how to defend myself. And it is my utmost prayer that you know your path, that whatever it is that you have to do. So from there, I realized that, then I should be an advocate I will be able to speak. And since then, I've been making sure whatever happens in anyone's life, or if only I can be of help, I'll be of that help. And it's my prayer that even as you move from where you are now into the job market, into the job world, your skill will bring you to the forefront. Thank you very much for your attention, and God bless you.
He was a tennis player as well. He won medals from Mfantsipim school. He didn't want to see that one, but no, he didn't do that because he was from Bamakwa. That has nothing to do with Bamakwa. Let's not confuse issues. Our second speaker, unfortunately, is from Battles Need, Charles Ampofo. Let's welcome him with an applause, even though he's from Battles Need.
Good evening, everyone. It's such an honor to be back here on this Quadrangle Hill. Greetings, executives, fellow old boys, and to all of you lovely gentlemen gathered here. I'd like to stand on existing protocols. I'll deal with Mr. Hope later. I'm looking at this as a case of leaving the classroom and journeying to the boardroom, building your path with purpose. And by way of introduction, I'd like to salute you once again. It's an honor to stand before you, not just as an old student, but as someone who once sat exactly where you are, dreaming, questioning, and occasionally dozing off during maths class. Well, I did that too. My name is Charles Ampofo, and I studied general arts, economics, geography, and mathematics. My time on this Quadrangle Hill, right up till I completed in 95, formed a big part of most of the memorable experiences of my life. The experiences are many. From people, the headmaster, the teachers, housemasters, prefects, seniors, and troublesome mates, some of who are right behind me now, who just brought us problems. The places, Appian Way, town, the famous town, Yorks, happened to be the only place that you could go without being reprimanded, even though you had to climb a wall. The punishments, I don't know if they are still around. Bonuedi, Russian tanker, Boho. They are gone. Okay. So, and the chants, Shie, Chum, and all Sas. The jargons, the coded names, the vibe, and most hilariously, the nicknames for the housemasters and teachers. Some were really funny. Koro, God rest his soul. Shaka. And there was this particular teacher, housemaster, who had multiple names. One was Ochibi and Eggy Brodos. It's a funny story of how when he found out he was called Eggy Brodos, he went lamenting. At the time, the assistant headmaster, his wife used to sell meat pie. And he asked, "Na, Mr. Ishen, your friend Ishen Paya." Reverend Kwanzaa's wife used to sell beef. So he said, "Reverend Kwanzaa, your friend Kwanzaa Befa. Man could see me katon panon and chief worker from Eggy Brothers." Then there was Kakute. There was Joe Banner. There was Hope Man. Not this one. The original Hope Man. Mr. Hope then was the sharpest master you would find on campus. He knew everybody's name. So if he met you and he asked your name, it was a trick question. So say he met me, my name is Charles, and he says, Charles, what's your name? You dare not give him another name. In our time, the best donut and drink combo was sold at Shaka's house. It was called Potelo and Bef. But I digress. Today, 30 years later, after leaving the school, I run my own ventures in advertising and also in procurement. But let me be clear, I did not have it all figured out. While I was here, I didn't have a clue. My journey was more zigzag than straight. I worked in a video rental store after school. At the time when we left, there was a strike by the university teachers. And so some of us didn't go to university directly. So I started my life, my tertiary life at GIJ. I did industrial attachment in an advertising agency called STB McCann. They employed me afterwards, and when I completed, so I stayed there for a couple of years. Then I moved on to an IT company, then a security company, an events company, before I went back to advertising with Originate Saatchi and Saatchi. At the time, it was one of the hottest advertising agencies in the country. From there, I worked at a bank, heading corporate communications, and later left to manage an advertising agency that was owned by a friend before I finally set out on my own. So as you can see, it was not a straight path. So what I want to share with you is how your Mfantsipim education isn't just about passing exams. It's a toolkit for creating your future. The hidden superpowers in your subjects is something that you need to pay particular attention to. Economics taught me to see the world as a puzzle of choices. When I negotiate contracts for my company, I'm using cost-benefit analysis, the same principle I learned from Form 2. Geography gave me a lens for spatial storytelling, mapping delivery routes. That's just settlement hierarchy in real life. Please feel free to say she if I say a big word. Thank you. Okay, it's coming. Mathematics, even though I dozed and didn't quite like it much, happened to be the backbone of everything, from calculating ad campaigns, return on investments, to balancing budgets. Return on investment just means that whatever money you put in, you must ensure that you get good value for it, and there's a way to measure it. The lesson here is your subjects are not silos. They are interconnected skills. That essay on urbanization, it's a lesson in problem solving. That's algebra equation. It's training for logical thinking. Embrace them all. You never know which piece will fit your future puzzle. The second thing I want to talk about is embracing the detours. Like I said before, I didn't go straight into what I'm doing now. And so it's important that you embrace whatever detour that you find along the way. You get lessons that would help you on your journey. Let's be real. Society will not pressure you to choose a safe path. Law, medicine, engineering. But what if your passion really doesn't fit a template? I wanted to read law because I thought it was nice. I wanted to be like a Bishopin. But I had a knack for marketing and admired journalism. So when I left Mfantsipim at a time when university lecturers were on strike, the longest in the country's history, I ventured into GIJ to study for a diploma in PR and marketing. And that took me through the amazing world of marketing communications and advertising. I did my degree afterwards in marketing. And after that, I followed up at the University of Ghana to study entrepreneurship for an EMBA. I stumbled into logistics and procurement by accident. And now I merge both. My biggest breakthrough came from leaning into uncertainty. One client needed industrial batteries that was really very hard to find. And they wanted them on a fairly regular basis. My company had already been registered and was intended to handle subcontracts for the telecommunications industry. A new business then was born. The lesson here is your career is a mosaic, not a straight line. Don't fear detours. That useless hobby, or so you call it, or side hustle, it might be a golden ticket. I've always been a creative in some form, albeit very subtle. That creative mind curated some of the most notable advertising campaigns. Example, Champion, We Are Metro, if you ever heard that, which was deployed nationwide to fight the menacing HIV spread in the country. It was then a GSMF project funded by USAID. The entrepreneurial mindset, you need to solve problems and not equations. Entrepreneurship isn't just about starting companies. It's a mindset. You need to find gaps, look for gaps, and provide solutions. In Ghana, e-commerce is booming, but logistics lag. You could use GIS tools, yes, from geography class, to optimize delivery routes. In advertising, analyze data. Thank you, math. Thank you. Using math to tailor campaigns to Accra versus Kumasi, you would find, if you understand the advertising terrain, that target markets are not the same. So you use these analogies, these tools, to be able to figure out what the target market is looking for and how to reach them. And the action here is ask what frustrates people. That frustration is a business idea waiting to happen. Your game plan, 3 steps to turn potential into impact. Leverage your network, that's number 1. Mfantsipim's alumni are everywhere. Send a message, direct message, to that old student on LinkedIn. You'll be shocked how willing they are to help. While in school now, pay attention to the person sitting next to you. They may be the person you need to facilitate your breakthrough project. Networking is crucial for your future, and there's no better place to start building that network than now. So build a good relationship with your classmates and your schoolmates. It's a good investment for your future. Number 2, learn relentlessly. Take a free Google Analytics course. Watch YouTube tutorials on supply chains. Knowledge is free. Ignorance is expensive. Think green. Number 3, Ghana's future needs sustainable solutions. Can you design eco-friendly ads? Build solar-powered delivery bikes? Be the innovator we need. What a beauty it would be if the greatest next-generation inventors are from the Quadrangle Hill. But it's okay not to be a business owner. Not everyone is cut out to be an entrepreneur. It really can be a heartache sometimes. Some people achieve success by climbing the corporate ladder. The important thing is finding your passion, utilizing your natural and developed skills, and working to be the best at whatever you choose to do. Remember that anything you set your eyes on can be a huge success if you're dedicated, if you're passionate, if you're diligent, and smart about it. If you're in doubt, think of Zoomlion. Whoever thought garbage could be such a big business? Think of Cocoa King. Whoever thought cocoa that we didn't even want to eat at home could have been such good business? Think of caveman watches, locally made watches that people wear with pride. Think of horseman shoes. Think of chocolate clothes, the clothing line from a Ghanaian businessman who now clothes some of the wealthy elites of Hollywood and the politicians around the world. And think of Springfield Group, the first Ghanaian company to drill oil in commercial quantities in Ghana. As you leave here, remember, Mfantsipim didn't just teach you to pass exams. It equipped you to reshape the world. Your next chapter starts now. Go and build it boldly. Thank you.
Thank you very much. There'll be time for questions. And so I want to believe that we are jotting down the questions we have for our speakers. Coming up next is a gentleman from Bamakwa, John Bonuedi.
Thank you. I'd like to begin by saying that I come under the full protocol observed by Reverend Vanderpuije. Thank you. They've all spoken about how they started. They've all said some are lawyers, some are into other areas of life. Now, I'd want to break a few things down to you, right? I'd like to say to you that before every one of you was conceived by your parents and before you were born, you had a contract with God. You sat with God, your creator, and you told him what you were coming here to do. Does that sink in? Is that sinking in? You had a contract with God and you told him exactly what you were here to do. And that is a DNA imprint that is inside you that will keep haunting you every single day throughout your life. I want that to sink in. It's not about being an engineer, a lawyer, or whatever. It's about what is within you that keeps kicking in every single day. Number two, I want you to know that you are in the right family. Wherever you're born, wherever you're coming from, all of you, wherever you're coming from, you are at the right place. Okay? I came into the Mfantsipim, I was enrolled to read chemistry, physics, math, chemistry, right? And then my big brother who brought me, went to the headmaster and told him that this boy dismantles everything in our home, our TV, telephone, everything. So I would want to change his course from chemistry to applied electricity, electronics. And that was the best decision my big brother, took for me, because he saw what I came with. He got to know that right from infancy, I like to tinker with stuff. And that is the best thing that set me on my career course. I would want to tell you about chances and choices. Right? You were born to a set of parents by chance. You can't change that. That can't change, okay? That can't change. Whether they are farmers, whether they are teachers, whether they are billionaires, that can change. And that doesn't matter in any of that. It doesn't matter in the equation. There's a God who made provision for you before you needed the provision he made. That's the kind of God we have. And I'm not being religious. I'm just telling you what is. If you read the Bible story and it says God created the animals, created the trees, put everything, blah, blah, blah. All he was doing was making provision before you come. And provision is around you. You've heard mates talk about how you treat your friends and all that is all important. But chances and choices. Your parents, your brothers, people who congregated in this school is by chance. But then you also have a choice to make, right? Anything that is uncomfortable in your life right now, whether you're hungry, whether you're failing in your exam, anything at all, any other thing is by choice, right? The time you wake up from the time you sleep, whether you read a book or chat or do whatever it is, it's by what? It's by what? It's by what? Okay, so can I have everyone lift up a hand and say this after me? Everyone lift up that hand and make this pledge with me. Say, I am totally and completely responsible for my success or failure. Can we say it together? I, mention your name. I am responsible, totally responsible for my success or failure. From this day on, the pledge you've made simply says that whether you fail at your exam or whether you succeed is all based on you. It's not about the government, it's not about the family you come from, it's about none of that. It's about your own decision, okay? Have you got that? Because I want to talk to you. It's about the choices you make. So in this school, you would have choices to make whether you want to prep to town whilst there's prep going on. Prep and prep. Oh, it rhymes. Okay. Whether you want to prep to town or you study, it's all a matter of choice, isn't it? Okay. So you're here with the primary aim of the school creating a certain environment where you would have the discipline to sit down and search books and gather knowledge, okay? Gather knowledge. Build a routine. That's what you're here for, okay? That's why you're here. The school is here to create that discipline for you. And you need to comport yourself, obey the rules, and then get out of this school. But basically, after here, that thing inside that I told you that you have an agreement between you, yourself, and God will start kicking in. Some of you are here because parents are forcing you to do law. Others are forcing you to do medicine and all that and all kinds of things. Some of you have a lot of problems with your parents because they want to live their lives through you, right? Do we have witnesses? Do we have anyone here like that? Oh, it's a career guidance sessions. Talk to me. Okay, I'll move on. Maybe some are scared. But basically, your interest would definitely come through. Whatever you came with would definitely come through. Some will start from courses they may not end up using. We heard Mfantsipim even say that, and so many others. And basically, yours is to comport yourself. We're here to solve problems. We as human beings are here to solve problems. And there are societal, there are food and nutrition problems, there are security problems, there's educational problems. We have security, both cyber and physical security, and so on and so forth. Yours is to eventually find something you're good at, some problem to solve. Does it make sense? You're here to solve a problem. You're here to solve a problem. And your learning and everything you go through in life is to give you that opportunity to find a certain societal, nuisance, something that's creating a lot of challenges, something that's creating a lot of problems. And you may be that person who must sit up, have sleepless nights. These things are going to bother you within until you find a solution to that thing. Are you with me? So basically, well, for me personally, recently we went for a program at the Wesley Hall. And we're having a challenge. We're having a discussion about, for instance, how there's no, networking, great networking tool among our people, where as a business owner or as a new person coming in and wants to do an internship and stuff like that, there's no platform you can go to and do a search in any area that you want and get the answers and be able to connect with somebody. And that conversation in a few minutes, I had contacted my president and asked him, who is responsible for that kind of thing? And before I left, I was giving somebody to talk to. And I'm hoping that itch that I got that day is going to turn into a software that would help us solve that particular problem. That's what we mean by finding problems and solving them. Are you with me? So, as you leave this place, you may be tempted to think that somebody else's career is more powerful the money is in this area, money is in that area, and so you tend to want to rush into a certain place. But I want to tell you that it may not end up well with you unless you follow that deep, authentic passion that is within you. Are you with me? Okay, so since this is a career, I would also touch on the fact that there are different aspects of jobs out there. Some people are employed in jobs where they sell their 8 to 5 to a company, and the company pays them, and that is a form of employment. Some people love that. Mr. Ampofo spoke about something like that. And then some also try to start companies. Some want to partner with people, and so on and so forth. Everybody will start gaining some technical skill. It could be writing software, it could be construction, it could be this, it could be that. Whatever it is, I want you to pay attention to every single place you find yourself. I started growing up with my mom going to Malata Market, Bodrasi, Kaswa, and a few other places to sell. She was selling wares, and I'll go with her to the market. I remember when my father was a police officer, so we would be in one of these barracks and we'll carry things and we'll sell. And that gave me the ability to speak to people, think about problems, solve problems. Every little thing that comes your way is important. What is important is not necessarily the course that you're going to be picking out here, but it is the character you build on this hill that is going to help you as well. So where there are problems, you should be the first to show up to solve problems. Most of you would leave this place and not pick the chair that you sat on. That is an act of service. We're here, like I said, to solve problems. And the character you build on this hill is important. How patient you are, how content you are, how, analytical you are, how much knowledge you love to acquire. The future is not for lazy people. It's not for lazy people. Bishop Penny spoke about a lot of developments going on in the AI field. But AI, I'm sorry, is not for dumb people. People who don't want to learn. AI is not for dumb people. You would have to be very critical, analytical, improve in your prompts. Prompt it well with exactly what you want to get what you want out of it. So your reading ability, your ability to learn beyond that which the teachers are telling you to learn is very important. Are you with me? It's very important. And a lot of jobs, of course, like he said, a lot of jobs are going to be taking over, but it is up to you to find that particular problem that gives you an edge. And settling down to analyze it, investigate it, to the point where you begin to find solutions to build that. I would also want to touch on the fact that, touch on relationships. Yes, relationships. So relationships with your peers, relationship with your seniors, which has to do with persuasion and networking, and so on and so forth. Even most of you here, you're all men, and you'll be soon interacting with girls, women. And that is a big part of your career jump or your career sink. And so basically for me, a few things that I want to, I think the biggest time wasting will be with women. So let me touch on that. I'm sorry to announce to you that all your year mates in Wesley Girls are not your girlfriends or your wives. No. So if you're gonna, so listen, settle down. Let me put this out. We are talking about counseling, we are talking about career, but the big part where you waste your time is with women, is with girls. Listen, your wives are in JSS. Your girlfriends and your wives are in JSS. Or even primary school. Listen. Settle down. Your wives are in primary school. Any girl you waste your time with right now is going to steal you away from your career, and you're going to be in trouble. Listen. I think this is important. So, I think I'll end here. Oh, I shouldn't end. So the point is, you as a man create everything you have. You create wealth. You're a creator and a preserver of wealth. Your women counterparts, some way, somehow, have different endowments than you have. Everything you have in future, you create by yourself. Nobody gives you any freebies. But unfortunately, a young lady of your age right now can get an older person marrying that woman for nothing, for no degree, no education, just because of her beauty. That's it. You have to create wealth. And so therefore, your emphasis should be in creating and building your career and being a problem solver. So good that the bigger problems you solve, the bigger the reward you have. And then you attract the young ones who become your wives, who would then boost what you have built. If you focus your time on your age mates now, I must say that it'll be a complete waste of your time. Thank you.
Oh, you're not clapping well. You're not, because he's talking about your girlfriends, you're not happy. Thank you very much. For those of us who have questions to ask, let me suggest that you move into this space here so that we can be snappy with what you may want to contribute. Our final speaker comes up next. It's a clear case of God using the foolishness of this world to confound the wise. Michael Konadu Bamakwa.
Thank you. So I will stand on all previous protocols, and the elders, to proceed. I think my colleagues have said a lot, and I would like to touch on at least some other pertinent items that we cannot leave without telling you. So Michael Konadu, I got here 93-ish, left 95. I did science and I did math, physics, and chemistry. I had a bit of a different path at a very early age. So as a young boy growing up, if you don't see me or you are looking for me, you have to start looking under cars to see which car I'm under, as early as 3, 4. So when visitors come to visit, my parents will have to prompt them that be careful you don't run over Yao. He may be under your car. And then they will check. Sometimes I'm there. Sometimes I'm not. So at a very early age, I was called an engineer. And it was a natural affinity to it. So coming to Mfantsipim, I was very clear that I wanted to do, you had to choose between math and biology. That was an easy one. I knew I wanted to do math. I knew I wanted to do physics. And it was interesting, and it was good. So after Mfantsipim, I had the chance to go to UST. And I think we sat home for 2 years. And during that 2 years, I had the opportunity to work in a pharmacy shop around Dansuman. I was so good at the pharmacy that when people come, sometimes they tell the pharmacist, they don't know that he is the pharmacist. They will tell him they are waiting for me, the pharmacist. I had not been to tech yet, But it was so interesting, it was so lively, it was so like natural and real. The owner actually thought I was going to do pharmacy. So when I told her I now have to go to school, oh, she said, good. On vacations, come, and then you can do internships. I said, oh, I'm not doing pharmacy. He said, what are you doing? I said, oh, mechanical engineering. He said, But I was good, I liked it, but I really knew what I wanted to do. And that is rare. Not too many people at your age know what they want to do. And even if you know what you want to do, sometimes there is still a gray area where you still have to figure out what exactly you want to do. So I went to tech, I did mechanical engineering. And by the way, it's interesting, and I'm sure there are some of you who want to do engineering. And let me touch on it a bit. There are different types of engineering. And today, the question is, which one do you do? I had a bit of a struggle between electrical and mechanical. So I asked around which one is difficult. But I don't know if it's true. They said mechanical is difficult. So I said, okay, then let me do that one first. And then maybe later in life, I could go and do electrical. So the same thing to you. Anything you do in life, try to do difficult things early in your life. Because opportunities and situations change. And as you grow older as well, your ability to do things also goes a bit down. So those who want to do engineering, if you are very sure and clear about what you want to do, you can do the specifics. And if I say the specifics, we talk about aeronautics. That is, you want to work on airplanes. You can do petroleum. You want to be in the oil and gas industry. And then others. If you want to be broad and you want to be able to jump from place to place, you can be in different industries. You don't restrict yourself too much. Then you can do the general ones. Electrical, mechanical, civil. Civil, you can do constructions, buildings, road, things like that. So that gives you the ability to be able to maneuver. And it is important. You can, if you are very sure, yes, you go to very specific ones and then you grow with it. So after tech, I had the opportunity to go to grad school, which I did mechanical again anyway. But I'll come back to that. That was not necessary. And it's good to also know as you grow so that you don't take education that may not really add additional value to you. So I did mechanical again for different reasons. And then after that, I had the opportunity to go to business school. And the reason why I went to business school, and before I went to business school, after my graduate school, I had the opportunity to work as a sales engineer. The reason I did sales engineering was it was a good blend of commercial and technical. I liked engineering, but I didn't want to be in a kind of a laboratory or a place designing and making things. I wanted to be able to be out there to talk to customers and to be able to have a commercial flair as well. So I enjoyed the job as a sales engineer, but that one you were selling technical stuff. So you had to talk and understand the technology. And that was why I did the MBA, so that I also understand how business works, how markets works, how competition works, and how you position your items. Another thing that I will say is, if you are not sure about your career path, one of the best things you can do is just do engineering. And then figure out the rest later. You can be a lawyer after that. You can be an entrepreneur after that. You can do marketing after that. And most of these industries, you can ask the CEOs, they love to hire engineers. Because of the critical thinking, because of your calm under pressure, because you figure out solutions. So if you are not sure what you want to do, you can just do engineering. And then you can figure things out later. You wouldn't regret it. So after business school, had the opportunity to work in the bank. So you see some of the opportunities that you get. an engineer working in the bank. But then you work in the bank with their facilities. The bank I worked with, they owned facilities. So I was responsible for their infrastructure. And then from there, I had the opportunity to do some consulting as well, so that you go to different places, you travel around the world to help people solve their problems. It was fun. You see different issues, different problems, and I get excited when I think through flights back home. You'll be thinking through how you're going to solve this problem, and when you solve it, you build a company, you build them a lot of money, and they pay for it. Meanwhile, sometimes it's a very small problem. But because you took your time and you're passionate about it, you're able to come up with the solutions, which probably was right in front of them. So I did that for a while as well. So most of these times, I worked mainly in the US. But in 2015, I had an opportunity to come back home. And I came home with General Electric. It used to be a conglomerate. Now we're splitting up into different sections. So I'm with the power division, where we build gas turbines, we sell gas turbines, we do renewables across the globe. So I've been back for about 10 years, and the passion to give back and to tell and to help people kind of charter the path in a way that you don't waste time. So going back to why I said the master's in engineering was not necessary was, if you want to go into deep engineering, to design, to invent, to do things, then you probably just go and do a PhD. Then you are an expert of that. A master's is kind of a lukewarm, but then it could give you a little bit of an edge. But if you really want to do it, you do it. If you want to go the commercial way, which I wanted to, then you add some soft skills to it. Engineers are very notorious with not having very good soft skills. You need it. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to make a business case for what you want to do. You need to understand customers, psychology, all of that. So you need to learn those things. So those are some of the things you need to make sure you equip yourself with as you are here. And then the next thing so that's my journey. So that's today, I do about 30% of technical stuff, but 70% of commercial. So I travel around a lot. My role covers the Middle East, Europe, and Africa. So you have to be able to use cases from A and then plant it in B and then move it there. It is fun. It's lovely, because you are able to impact just based on the experiences that you see. So most of the problems or most of the things you see, you would have seen it somewhere else before. So with time, you even get better at it. So those are some of the things that the path kind of brought me to. Now, talking about, it seems simple, but there are some key things that you need to grow with. And I think you are old enough to start forming that, and that is your mindset. You need to have a laser-focused mindset where you block distractions right from here. Like you are men, you are old enough, you are no more boys. And then, by the means of focus is you surround yourself with the right network. You surround yourself with people who believe in you. You surround yourself with people who challenge you, people who believe in your dream. You could have friends who will talk down on your dream, and it affects you. Sometimes you think you are singularly minded, but the effect of friends is real. So you make sure if you have dreams and you have big dreams, you surround yourself with people who believe in those dreams as well and are going places with you. And it's going to have an enormous impact on you. So you make sure your friend network is solid. And sometimes there could be adults who may not even believe in you. And it's there. But I think John mentioned it. Your success, how you move, you are accountable for it. Not your father, not your mother, not your teacher. Some teachers may not even come to class, but you are still accountable to pass that. because you want to succeed. So that should be your goal. You should have a dying need to succeed. And once you have that, obstacles are just blips in your life. You try to find solutions to everything. Not that this person should have done that, this guy should have woken me up at 7. No. If they do, fine. But take responsibilities at this age and grow with that mindset that you are responsible for your future. And you'll be amazed where you can get to in life. It works. The other item, which is related to this, being a man, your appreciation in life is the value you bring in life. Men have built the world, but then if you're able to bring value, add value, that is when you are appreciated. Unlike dogs or children where they are just loved just because of being cute and all that. No, it doesn't happen to you as a man. And you need to understand it very early. And then just move with that kind of passion and that kind of drive. 3 things you also have to look at if you are choosing a career. 1, the passion, and I think everybody talked about it. It is important. 2, what are you good at? You can have a passion for soccer. You can have a passion for basketball, but maybe you're not good at it. You can train, but maybe you're not good at it. The third element is, does it pay? In this part of the world, money is sometimes seen to be negative in some cases. But at the end of the day, at the back of the scenes, we also need money to do things. There are good ways to be able to make good and genuine money. So when you're looking for a career, does it pay? Do you have a passion for it? And do you have the skills for it? You may not get all these in equal quantities, but at least in the Venn diagram, those 3 should have a bit of an intersection. Because if you don't have the passion and it pays and you are good at it, you may ball out of it. And sometimes you can develop the skill or you can develop the passion, depending on what it is. But don't take any of these 3 for granted. Because you are going to be head of households, you will have to provide. Society will hold you accountable for that. There'll be no excuses. So you need to make sure that those 3 is what is going to sustain you. Sometimes the way out on things like where you have the skill, the passion, but it doesn't pay, is you can do that as a hobby or as a side thing. And then ultimately, whatever comes out of it, or it kind of fuels you, keeps you calm, keeps you going, but you still have to make sure you get something that will touch on all the 3. It's important. And you can do your own research. Whatever you decide to do, today you know the path of it, how it goes, how you grow, where you can go on. So you make sure that what you are choosing is something that will make impact in your life and then the people around you, in their life as well. So keep that and move and believe in that. You are in a Methodist institution. There is the God factor in your life as well. And that is important and critical because there will be challenges. There will be times that we have to make calls. But your steadfast belief in Christ, your steadfast belief that the Lord will be able to see you through tough times is also a bonus and a plus for you as you move, as you grow. You make sure that you don't leave your God behind, no matter the heights you get to, because He is the one who's going to take you there. And you make sure that you keep that reverence as you go, and then keep focused. So invest in yourself, be focused. Anything that is not going to help you get to where you want to get to, you cut it out, and you know them. Don't try to double do it or get things involved that you know that is not going to help you. It could be friends, it could be some addictions, whatever it is. Be focused on your goal. This is what you want to do. You want to get an A in this. You want to improve your grade in this. You know what to do. Learn. Sit down. Get mentors. Mentors can be your own colleagues. They can be adults. Each mentor has his or her own abilities. You can have a spiritual mentor. You can have a mentor who can help you with career. You can have a mentor who will help you with your studies. It's all different, but make sure you have mentors and ask for help. There's nothing wrong in asking for help. And once you are focused on growing, you'll be surprised where you can get to. So these are some of the things that I think I'll leave you with. I think most of them has been touched on already. And then later, when there are questions, we can touch on them again. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Konadu. Questions and answers. Do we have some questions? It looks like because I called people to come and ask questions by sitting here, even the two people who were already there, one has vanished. Very well. So may I respectfully ask Reverend Vanderpuije, Charles, John, and Michael to pay attention and select the questions and answer them. I am only a moderator.
All right. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm Atukwamna Silfi, Mfantsipim School's head boy. And I have a question. But before that, I would like to acknowledge the presence of the headmaster, the Busepin, and all other old boys present. Quoting what the first speaker said, Reverend William Vanderpuije, he said, and I quote, "Don't be guided by emotions or circumstances, but be guided by desire and interest," unquote. And to what the second and third speaker said, they spoke about chances and choices. Now, some people who we have people who follow their passion, that is their interest. And as the third speaker said, he said, some parents would want to live their choices through you, per the circumstances you, the child, is living in. Now, for an individual who is from an unfortunate home, which he has no option of, he was born into that home. I know many boys here, some of us are not from very good homes. And so he is to battle between his interest or the circumstances he's living in. Now, we've heard many success stories about that 1% that have made it by opting for their interest, even though they were living in bad circumstances. But society does not tell the stories of people who went for this option, that is for their interest, and who went for their interest, yes, and ended up failing. That is the failure stories of people who chose their interest over the circumstances they are living in. For example, we have some boys who have interest in football, but then their circumstance demands that they need to make money to save themselves and their parents and future family. And so going for that option of your interest or football would seem conflicting because you need to save yourself. Now, after all, life is the survival of the fittest. And as men here, as the fourth speaker said, appreciation and recognition is brought about by the value or wealth you bring. And so my question is, what is the advice or roadmap for such individuals who are to choose between their interests or circumstances? Do they go for their interests or they have to go for their circumstances? Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I'm happy I'm just a moderator. Let's keep the questions very short so that we can have a lot of questions to answer. Let's take two more, and then the speakers, I'm sure, will select themselves by some AI mechanisms.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Please, I'm Oscar Desemens, and I have 3 questions to ask. The very first one is it advisable to try to build your career with someone else, side by side? And the second question is, when rising through ranks, how do you beat your competition while keeping it as a core part of your network? And the last question is, I have spoken with many uprising doctors who have spoken about how difficult it is to reach the level where the pay is sufficient enough, and how extremely hard it is to reach the level of your dream life. And the question is a medical doctor really profitable in Ghana? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm Karim Manu. My question is, just judging from the accent of our speakers today, it seems as though leaving the country is one of the effective keys of unlocking success. Would I be limited if I poised to find success within the borders of Ghana? Second question. Personally, I have a lot of skills I would like to use. Would you say I pick one and master, or I become a jack of all trade, or I just allow life to play? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I hope we have not beaten more than we can chew. Sinakwedu, please come. You are needed.
So I think the question on your passion, but then your parents wanting you to do something different, I think that was the head boy. So that is a very common issue. I know nobody would raise their hand when they asked it, but a lot of you, I think, are going through it. So I have kids who are teens as well. And one thing I tried not to do was to force my children in deciding what to do. So you can also do it on the reverse. And that is by having conversations. Most of you are intelligent and very clear. And adults underestimate children. But children are very clear in their thoughts. Some, yes, you need to guide them and all that. What you need to do is to articulate what you are trying to do with your parent or whoever is trying to get you to do something. What I do with my children, for instance, so very personal. My eldest son, growing up, he loved animals, very good with animals. Every animal in the world, he will tell you what it is. He will tell you birds that produce milk, like he was very good. So when it got to time for him to go to the university, he started talking about maybe specializing in something to do with mammals and things like that. So we had a conversation. And I said, look, you can do this mammals thing. This is how far you can go with it. And then these are the other options you can do as well in life. It took about 3 years to have a conversation. So you have the conversation. One day he came and he actually said, look, it looks like, and then he gave me some examples of people who had done something similar. I said, oh, it looks like I can actually be a surgeon, and then I'll be able to even take 1 month or 1 month or 2 months off from work and travel the world to see zoos and things like that, and that will be more fulfilling than me just being, I'm not the one saying it. He is coming back with those solutions. And I would even be more fulfilled rather than just focusing on the mammals. So once it becomes his decision, you don't have to drive it again. So for you, you will have to be able to lay down the points why you want to do X. Let's say you want to be a footballer. Your dad wants you to be a lawyer because maybe he thinks you have good oratory skills, you are good in reading, you are good with stuff that he can see. You have to make the case why you want to be a footballer. If I was the dad, I'll probably say, look, the possibilities or where you can get a probability of you getting Black Stars or wherever and going, it's this percentage. However, you can still be a lawyer and be a footballer. You can still be whatever you want, an entrepreneur, and still be a footballer. So why don't you consider business? Why don't you consider economics? Whatever it is, but then still keep the football passion on the side. But it's up to you to make the case. It's not you just, this is what I want to do, and that is it. In my house, it's about negotiation, both ways. And you'll be surprised the solid point you can come with, that kids can come with. There are sometimes I make a decision, my kids are able to come up with points and counterpoints that is clearly more valuable than what I said. And we change it. So you have that in you. And like I said before, your destiny is in your hand. You have to drive it. But if you know that is not, it doesn't make sense, you don't even have to argue with it, but then you have to probably adjust and see how you can combine or do things together. But you have to be able to make your point and articulate your point, and it has to make sense. and you know what makes sense. I hope that is clear. All right.
Thank you. Head boy, interest or circumstance? Whilst in school, I was a national tennis player. We were traveling. And we could go, we were playing for Ghana. I was part of it. The likes of Franco Furi, Achicho, Benansa were playing tennis, good tennis. As young as I was getting the good money. I was still coming to my parents. They were managing, I had managers. However, my dad, whilst I was going the tennis way, my dad said no. With tennis, you can't play tennis when you are 60 years old. You can't play tennis when you are 55 or 50 years. But becoming a professional could take you far. But he still left the choice in my own hands to determine. And I never regretted taking my dad's path. Though I was playing, I still had to go to school. Because where he came from, he realized that he never had somebody to advise him the way he should have been advised. And as it is, you honor your parents and you go well with you. So I did that. So you make that choice as to what you want to become. People play football and they invest the money that they get and they are there. But you don't see them as you used to hear or see them again. Is that not it? So make that choice whether. But I chose the path and then took the advice of my father that with law, even when you're 100 years old and you have the strength and the cognitive ability to go and reason, you can still be there. But there are some professions up to a point, you are no more. So let this also guide you. So it's not about circumstances and only interests, but you have to make that choice also when you get to that side. With key advice from who? From those who have gone ahead of you. They can really direct your path. Thank you.
So there was a question about, can you make it in Ghana without traveling? Do you wonder why there are mining companies here, foreign mining companies here, oil companies here, and so many other, timber merchants and bauxite mining companies, foreign hospitals and all that here, and even local companies here. Ibusepenyi said he owned a number of companies. And I run an IT company as well, and I'm not traveling, and I'm doing okay. So the issue is focus on problems. You have to focus on problems because society, our living is all about solving problems. The bigger the problems you solve, the bigger the reward. Or you don't agree? The bigger the problems, the bigger the reward. Somebody said, is being a doctor lucrative? Yes, it is. But it's all about you having your own vision as to what kind of doctor you want to become. Every doctor starts as a GP. From there, others specialize into heart surgeons and so many other areas. And if you cannot practice as a doctor, you can own a hospital or you can own a clinic. You can own a specialized hospital. And if you can't build a career as a footballer, you can own a club. You can become a scout and discover 2 or 3 players that will make you a millionaire. So it's all about your thinking and what you're poised to solve. Basically, that's what about. Is there any other thing I have? Jack of all trades. I think everyone here would attest to the fact that we all didn't start with one single focused skill or area and stayed there. Every successful person will tinker with a number of stuff. There's a point between 20 years, between you living here and getting to the university or not. Some of you will not go to the university. That's okay. Some will start farming. I mean, we're talking as if everybody here will end up in the university. No, not everybody will end up in the university. And it's okay. It does not make you useless. It just simply means that you have a different path. Some will become farmers. Some will become, start their own little businesses. And then from there, become bigger than even those who, follow the career path. Not everybody is meant to go to the university. That much, because if we say that and it puts a lot of pressure on you as if everybody needs to go to university, that's not it. But be focused on solving societal problems. Like we said before, there are security issues, food and nutrition, shelter for, and so on and so forth. Agriculture, mining, energy, and so on and so forth. Find a niche and solve problem in that area. Is there anything else? Okay.
We have two more questioners.
Okay, I'm not the one doing a career guidance, right? But there's two questions that were asked. They've been answered already, but haven't listened to them. I think I should contribute to answering them because it's important and I think it's going to help you. Now, there's a question about, do you have to leave the country to become successful? I wanted to answer that. The answer is no. You don't have to leave the country to become successful. But in today's world, it's a global world in terms of ideas. So if you are not in the place where the conversations are going on, where the great minds are discussing the big issues of the day and bringing out solutions, you miss out. It's a collaborative world. The world has changed. It's a collaborative world. So in order to scale, you need to rely on the expertise of several experts at the same time in order to scale. So you can't scale being local, and you can't scale knowing only what you know. You need to leverage knowledge everywhere to scale. So the reason why I've gotten up to add to this point is because, unlike the rest of my siblings, I've not had a single day of education anywhere in the world apart from in Ghana. I went to a school called Chapel Hill School that was built by my parents. In Takrady, it's no longer running. It had some issues, but it was built by my parents and their friends. My family still owns a school called The Nest in Takrady, for those who know The Nest. It has about 1,000 children, which has replaced Chapel Hill. So I can't say that I came from difficult circumstances. I came to Mfantsipim school. I got here on merit. In Chapel Hill School, I was the third highest score to get in here. I was in Mfantsipim for 7 years. I was an athlete. I was the school champion for martial arts when I was in Form 2. I think I must have been like 13. I was the national lightweight champion of Ghana when I was in Form 4. I was the youngest middleweight and champion of champions in martial arts for the whole of Ghana when I was 17. I was exceptionally good in martial arts. I was known, in fact, some people still see me and they remember me for martial arts, even though today I'm a businessman. So, because I was so good in martial arts, some people said I should go abroad. I was already national champion at 17. So I should go to the United States where I'll meet more champions and I could be an international champion. And this comes back to what has been said. So I had a choice. I was good enough. You probably would have seen me in the, what do you call it? Not in wrestling, but in the, what they call that? The UFC. When I see the UFC people fight, I say, but these people, they are useless. In my time, I could have killed half of them. No, I'm serious. For those of you, I mean, I could jump over 12 people and break a board at a speed that you could, just right here, during speech day. I could do a spinning back kick with 3 people sitting on each other and break a board. You didn't even see me turn. And so I could have been in UFC because I had the choice, I had the skill, I had the power, and I had the natural ability. You understand me? I could beat people twice my size. You know? I know, you can ask Charles. He's here. But I decided that no. I mean, I could be a naturally gifted martial artist, but that's not what I wanted to do. To go and box in UFC, no. I mean, I had some other choices to make because I also had a very strong intellectual leaning. Are you me? I like to read. I like to think, like Nana Nketia said today. I like to reflect. I like things like poetry, literature, history. I like to write much more than I like martial arts. And most of all, I also like business. You see, in life, you can't get a straight choice. Some people say, oh, you wake up and some angel comes and tells you, go and be a footballer. And yes, not everybody is going to succeed. That's the way of life. That's the way it is. Whether you're in Ghana, whether you're in Europe, whether you're in Asia, it's like a funnel. It's not even the hard-working alone who are going to succeed. But it depends on your definition of success. Are you me? But learning today has to be global. But you can do it on the net. You can look, like I said, with the internet, you can go and there are so many sites where you can take a full course. You can even have real-life experiences without having gone anywhere. You know, I was lucky enough when I left, I went to law faculty and went to law school. I started my first business at 23 with $100 whilst I was in law school because I loved business. Charles knows I love business. I used to hire my mates, give them some wild ideas, and then we try and solve problems to make money. You understand me? But I never went to any school in abroad. I was trained by some very great European entrepreneurs. Because in my quest to solve problems, I found these people on my way. Even though I didn't go to school abroad, when I was young in my 20s, I used to go to places that no black man went to technology fairs, to technology events, and to speak to the leaders of the technology world in my 20s. But that wasn't school. It was my quest to find a solution to the things that I wanted to solve in technology, even though I was a lawyer. So I had some great mentors that taught me things that no Ghanaian could have taught me. Of course, my father was a businessman, so my father taught me so many things other people couldn't teach me. Wisdom and some very practical business skills and hands-on business training. But what I learned in Europe is like learning nuclear science, how to make data-driven decisions, how to use analytical frameworks, how to do option analysis, how to make practical choices between different options with an European viewpoint, which is a little more sophisticated than an African viewpoint because it's a little different. It's a different environment. So I learned how to analyze things differently. I was in Asia. When I was going to China, people in Ghana didn't even know where China was. I was still in my 20s. And that's where I learned manufacturing. You know, I was in Korea. I had a great mentor in Korea who taught me how to manufacture, how to think about manufacturing in a proper sense. That's why today I own factories, because I understand manufacturing. But somebody taught me. So, no, you don't need to leave the country in the sense that you have to go and have school somewhere. The reason why I wanted to tell you is that most people assume, because most of my brothers went to international schools. I have a younger brother who also followed my same path. He has the same qualifications I have. He went to the law faculty. He's also a barrister from, Ghana School of Law. But then he went to Columbia University. He did another law degree in Columbia. He has a master's in Columbia. He worked on Wall Street for some of the biggest law firms. He did some of the biggest transactions that the world has seen on Wall Street. He worked in the oil business. But now he works for me. He works for me as the deputy chief executive of the Margins Group. But I never went to any of these Ivy League schools. You understand me? I have other brothers. In fact, most of my brothers went to foreign schools. But what I want to tell you is that it's not about the schools you go to. I mean, if I tell you how many Ivy League schools people work with me, if you look at my executive directors, I actually have a lot of Mfantsipim executive directors. Maybe about 7 of my directors are Mfantsipim boys, right? But they all have international experiences. They worked as managing directors for banks in the UK. And I mean, they've gone to schools that I could never, or I've never been to. But I have never gone anywhere. I don't have a single day of formal education in any foreign school. But I have experience spanning several countries. I can't even count the countries I've been to, right? In my quest to find a way to solve problems. So don't confuse the two. And it's not easy. If you're going to be successful, it's going to be extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. And as has been said by the people actually doing the career talk, you have to make choices. And the biggest problem we have in Ghana is the entitlement mentality. And it's been stressed on. Oh, my father didn't look after me. My uncle went abroad and he didn't send me money. And if I had been born into this family, I could have been better. And my friend didn't wake me up. Somebody said that. And this my friend, he didn't give me his book. This entitlement mentality, you need to remove it from your brain. There's something in history where they call a causative chain. The link between action and results. That link between action and results, you make it. Of course, there's another school of thought that says that determinism decides what you do, which means that you are born with some genes. So that's what you did. Your uncles, they never could learn engineering, so you can never do engineering because your genes don't. Fine, there's a certain aspect of some determinist things. But the strongest part, I believe, is the choices you make and the action that you take. If you believe that you can change the world, you will. If you believe that somebody else has to change the world for you, you will fail. The fact that you believe you will change the world does not mean that you'll always succeed. And it's not going to be easy. I've got a long business career. From 23 now, I'm 59, so 35 years of work. I'm working a minimum 12 hours a day. Even when you think I'm sitting down, I'm working. I'm working in several countries at the same time. But it's not been easy. There have been times when I've been almost bankrupt. There have been times that the banks have sold my properties because I did something and I couldn't recover. And they've sold maybe 6 or 7 properties of mine. But what is important is not what happens to you. It's the attitude. And taking your own decisions into your own hands. And realizing that it's not going to be easy. That's very important. And this, my last point, is on one of the questions about circumstances and choices. Whether because you don't have money and you want to do martial arts, but you can't eat lunch, so you have to go to the market and go and sell ice kenke before you can eat. This is an existential question. It's a real existential. My father wanted me to read law because he thought that lawyers always had the upper hand. My father was a business person, so of course, he always brushed with lawyers. He did international business in several countries. He had to brush with lawyers. Lawyers, they are bad, though. They can turn the interpretation, and before you know, you have an issue. So because of that, 4 of my siblings are lawyers. My father liked lawyers, and I was his junior. So he wanted me to be a lawyer. He gave me several incentives to be a lawyer. I wanted to be a lawyer, but I didn't want to be a lawyer to practice. You understand me? So I went to Legon, and I did LLB. Actually, when I was doing my bar, when I was in the final year, I decided, why do I want to be a barrister? I'm never going to practice. I think I've learned enough law. So I went to my father and told him that, listen, I've done your LLB for you. I've done 1 year of the bar. I want to stop. He said, you must be an idiot. You can stop. But if you stop, I'll close your office in my boys' quarters and you will find somewhere to go and rent your own house. Because as long as you live under my roof, I make the rules. You do the last year and I'll let you stay here because you don't pay rent. So these are circumstances, right? I had 2 choices. Either I rebelled against my father and then I had money to go and rent another place, or I bit the bullet and chose that circumstance, finished the bar, and did something else. Today, I think it was very stupid of me to have been left with only 1 year and said that I'm not going to finish.